Hello beautiful people, Astrology Guy here. So Mercury is going retrograde. Yep, it's going retrograde on May 29th, so I want to give you the goods on how this will affect your sign. And also, so many of you have heard the phrase Mercury retrograde, but have no idea what it really means. So I'm going to clear that up for you in this video. You can watch this video from the perspective of your sun sign or your rising sign. Okay, no more wasting time. Here is what Mercury retrograde means and what you can expect for your specific sign. Let's go. Okay, so Mercury retrograde, what does it mean? Well, basically each planet has an influence on a certain portion of our lives, and Mercury is the planet of communication. So in your birth chart, it will inform you how you pick up, process, absorb, and exchange information. So if you look at your birth chart, it will tell you what sign Mercury was in when you were born, and that will then inform you on that part of your personality. Now, when we hear the phrase Mercury retrograde, what that means is 3 to 4 times a year, Mercury appears to be moving backwards. I say appears because it's actually an illusion that results from the viewpoint that we have from Earth. But when this illusion appears, because Earth is orbiting the sun at a different speed, we call it retrograde. And Mercury turns retrograde more often than any other planet. So during this retrograde phase, because Mercury is the planet of communication, it tends to cause communication issues and confusion. And this is why people freak out every time they hear Mercury retrograde, because they're expecting a lot of stuff to go wrong. It causes issues with clarity when speaking, negotiations, documents, traveling, mail, shipping, technology, emails, etc. So it's best during this time if you do not sign any contracts, engage in important decision making, start a new business or relationship, and it also is good to know that more delays and changes come up during Mercury retrograde. So if you can avoid any of those activities, then do so for sure. But if you can't, then just make sure to take your time and be extra careful and diligent when it comes to going over the details of anything regarding communication. Now, the great news is there's something that Mercury retrograde is fantastic for, and that is for getting a redo on things. It's like when you're in school and you really screw up on a test, but then you get a retest. Well, Mercury retrograde is perfect for the retest, for a redo, or for a revisit of anything that is undone, unresolved, or just reworking anything that needs reworking. It's a great time to do inner work on yourself, from meditation, relearning a skill, or just revisiting any idea that you may have had in the past that you started and never finished. So if you use this retrograde phase or any retrograde phase as a redo in certain areas of your life, then this can be the perfect time to make some major positive headway. So as long as you back up your phones and computers and prepare for any issues with technology and put your focus more on revisiting anything undone or unresolved, then this retrograde phase can be fantastic for you. So now let's get into each sign and what to expect for Mercury retrograde that takes place from May 29th to June 22nd. Okay, so Pisces, this Mercury retrograde will be in your 4th house. So this retrograde could for sure cause some drama with family members or roommates if you have them. So make sure that you really take your time when communicating your feelings, Pisces. Do your best to not take things personally, and if any issues come up, make sure to ask the necessary questions to get all of the answers and allow the facts to inform your decisions as opposed to allowing any frustration caused by confusion to influence you. A great way to make the most of this retrograde is by redecorating or finishing up some home improvement plans that you had in the past and you never got around to. And also taking some time with yourself to ask yourself, is there anything from my childhood or my past that I know may have developed into a negative perspective or negative behavior? Well, now is the perfect time to get resolution and begin to reprogram yourself in terms of how you approach this area of your life. You will find that if you do this, you can come out of this retrograde phase feeling brand new and ready for anything. Okay, Aquarius, now for you, this Mercury retrograde phase will be in your 5th house. So this may result in you feeling a bit less confident than usual and having some challenges when it comes to being creative. So the best way to counterbalance this energy, Aquarius, is to reconnect with your inner child. Decide to have some fun without worrying about it being a part of your overall goals or agenda. Just have a good time. This could help your creative spark reignite. Also be prepared for any X to possibly appear. Now, although Mercury retrograde is a good time for getting a a redo on things, if you decide to have a redo on a relationship, make sure that you honor your truth and your needs. You don't want a replay of why you broke up in the first place. So overall for you, Aquarius, don't freak out if you aren't feeling as optimistic and creative as you usually do during this time. Just take a deep breath and have some unexpected fun. This will help to counterbalance that retrograde energy. Now, Capricorn, this Mercury retrograde phase for you will be in your 6th house, so don't be surprised if you feel out of control with your schedule during this time. If things feel like they are going a bit crazy, just take a deep breath and go with the flow. Remind yourself that you will get everything done by taking things step by step, and if there are some miscommunications along the way, don't stress. Just adapt and make the most of the situation. Remember, for every problem, there is for sure a solution. So don't waste your precious Capricorn energy on worrying. This retrograde phase is also a great time for you to do some personal inventory on how you feel health-wise. This retrograde is the perfect time to research any ailments that you may have been having in order to get answers and come out on the other side of this with the necessary clarity, so that way you feel even stronger and more confident and in control when it comes to your health. This time is all about reorganization and repair for you, Capricorn. Okay, Sagittarius, this Mercury retrograde phase for you will be in your 7th house. So Sagittarius, if you're in a romantic relationship, or this could even apply to a relationship with someone that you work with or just a friend, but any sort of relationship in your life, be ready for some old issues from the past or some issues that have been brewing. Be ready for those to come up during this time. The best way to deal with this is to be excited by the idea of resolution. You are so solution-oriented, Sagittarius, so don't take the bait for a fight. Just think, okay, great, I'm glad this is coming out now, so we can address it and squash it. The theme for you during this retrograde phase is refine and reunite. So allow whatever issues to resurface so you can handle them with compassion and then move on from this retrograde phase with resolution and excitement. Okay, Scorpio, so for you, this Mercury retrograde phase will be in your 8th house. So this will bring to light any imbalances in your relationships. It's time for you to really ask yourself, are things fair? Are you getting as much in return as you're putting into the relationship? Sexual issues may come up and require discussion during this time. Embrace this conversation if it comes up. It's the perfect time to get things out in the open so you can resolve them and move forward with confidence. I also want to make sure that you know this is not the time to take out a mortgage or a loan or to start a new investment. This retrograde phase for you is all about clearing your mind, dealing with any unspoken issues, and relinquishing the need to control things. Use the energy of Mercury retrograde for this, and you will come out on the other side of it feeling fantastic. Okay, Libra, this Mercury retrograde phase will be in your 9th house. So for you, Libra, this will be a deep one. Mercury will really bring about the energy of you asking yourself, what is it you truly believe? You know, in the beginning of this video, I was saying that Mercury retrograde is all about getting a redo on things. Well, for you, it's about restructuring what it is you truly believe about life. What is your overall philosophy in this area? So ask yourself, what is it that you know to be true about yourself and about life? What is your spiritual foundation? And have you been taking the time to expand your connection in that area? This is the perfect time to remind yourself of how powerful you are when you're staying consistent with the way of thinking and the perspective that you know really works for you and that is grounded in your spiritual beliefs. As a Libra, it's so important to remain optimistic and to have faith in the process. So if you found that you've been down on yourself or on life, this is the perfect time to revisit and reestablish your thoughts so that way your mind is working for you, not against you. Remember, our thoughts create our reality. Take some time with yourself, Libra, during this retrograde phase to reignite your faith, and you will come out on the other side of this feeling more powerful than ever. Okay, Virgo, so this Mercury retrograde phase will be in your 10th house. So Virgos, it is very possible that you may be getting an unexpected position change when it comes to work. Now, it is really important for you to remain patient during this retrograde phase, Virgo, because there could for sure be frustration that comes up with regard to people or maybe one person that you work with. This is definitely not the time to make any big decisions, so don't go deciding anything too quick and don't go starting a new job right now. Instead, focus on restructuring how to market yourself and your ideas. If you use the retrograde phase energy for this, you will find that you get some great ideas and insight in the process. This is also a great time to maybe take a bit of a breather from going so hard when it comes to work. See this as more of a brainstorming creative phase where you may have to resolve some confusion at work, but overall the focus is recharging your creative battery. Use the Mercury retrograde energy in this way and you will come out on the other side of this better than ever. Okay, Leo. So Leos, this Mercury retrograde phase for you will be taking place in your 11th house. This could mean that some realizations may come your way when it comes to who your real friends truly are. Make sure you pay extra attention to avoid any gossiping or spreading unproven information. You don't want to get tangled up in any drama during this time. If you watched my horoscope video, you know that the 11th house is all about dreams coming true. So use this retrograde phase to ask yourself, is there any dream that you had in the past that you let go of? But now in looking back, you're realizing you may have let go of it prematurely. It may be time to revisit that desire and start a plan of how you're going to put the manifesting of that dream into action. This way, by the time Mercury goes direct, you will be in the perfect flow to make those dreams a reality. So the key words for you during this Mercury retrograde phase in Gemini, Leo, is reform and reignite. Okay, Cancers, so this Mercury retrograde phase for you will be in your 12th house, which can be a little intense, but very cool, Cancers. Don't be surprised if you receive some messages in your dreams during this time. It could be a great idea for you to keep a dream journal because there may be some serious clarity coming your way through your dreams. Even some past life stuff may show up. The bottom line is this will be a time when your spiritual world gets a serious boost, so there may be some signs that show up not only in your dreams, but also in your day-to-day life. So the best way to make the most of this retrograde period, Cancers, is to meditate, pray, just really connect to your inner vibration and allow this time to be much more about getting clarity as it comes and less about trying to force yourselves into any decision making. Allow the universe to speak to you as you navigate and enjoy your spiritual connection during this time. This is actually a great house transit for Mercury retrograde, so enjoy it. You are for sure going to come out on the other side of it with clarity and excitement for what's ahead. Okay, Geminis, so this Mercury retrograde phase for you will be in your first house, Gemini. So this means that during this time, you may be seriously wanting to change your image. And here's the thing, Gemini, if you're having this urge, just research your options first. Maybe look for inspiration photos and plan out what you want your overall image and look to be, but don't implement these changes until after the retrograde phase is over. The last thing you want is making some drastic change like getting a face tattoo and then realizing when retrograde is over that it was all a mistake. The best way to use the energy of this retrograde phase is to allow the inner you and the outer you to really come together. This way, by the time this retrograde phase is over, you will be feeling the rebirth of your season, Gemini season, in the most positive way possible. And you will find that feeling misunderstood can be a thing of the past. I know as a Gemini, you feel that people don't really understand the complete you, who you truly are. So this retrograde phase can be the perfect opportunity to let the inner you begin to express itself more. So by the time Mercury retrograde is over, you'll be feeling like you are finally letting people see all sides of who you are without worrying about their judgment. So planning transformation, connecting the inner and outer you, and no drastic changes, Gemini, until retrograde's over. Okay, Taurus, so this Mercury retrograde phase for you will be in your second house. This can go two ways for you, Taurus. Some unexpected money can come your way, which is great, but also an unexpected bill can show up. So it's best to make sure that you don't do any big spending during this time. Instead, put some money aside and just ride out the retrograde phase before you make any big financial decisions. This retrograde phase for you, Taurus, is best used as a time to reevaluate what matters, especially when it comes to what you do for a living and your relationship with money. Ask yourself, what is it you truly want? And consider if you feel like you are moving forward toward this or farther away from it. This is a time to slow down and allow the retrograde phase to bring you clarity. This way, when it's over, you can move forward with your decision making and a strong sense of certainty, knowing that you're making these decisions based on what is truly in your soul's best interest. Okay, Aries, so this Mercury retrograde phase for you will be in your third house. Now, this third house is the house of communication. So this is a big retrograde for you, Aries. You may be feeling a little anxious during this time and that your mind is going a mile a minute. It's very important that you periodically set some time aside for yourself to have some alone time just so you can regroup. You don't need to make any big decisions during this time, so don't be overwhelmed by your mind and all the things that you feel like you need to tend to. This retrograde phase phase is the perfect time to restructure your game plan in terms of how you intend to go about achieving your goals. This way, when the retrograde phase is over, you will feel very clear and confident when it comes to what you need to do and why you're doing it. Mercury retrograde for you, Aries, is also a good time to do some repair on your car, or at least get everything checked out to avoid any future issues. Make sure you check and double check all emails before you send them out, and if you have sent something and haven't received anything back, feel free to double check just to make sure that the intended person received the info. Overall, it's so important, since this retrograde phase is in your third house, to really take your time when it comes to communication. Make sure both parties are clear before jumping to any conclusions, and don't make any unnecessary promises or plans that can come back to haunt you. It's best if this time is spent just reevaluating where you are right now in your life situation and restructuring the exciting ideas and plans that you have for your future, so you can put them to action when Mercury goes direct. So your keywords during this time, Aries, are review and reestablish. Use Mercury retrograde for this, and you will for sure come out on the other side feeling confident and excited for what's ahead. Okay, so there you have it. Mercury retrograde, what it means, and what you can expect for your individual sign for the 4 weeks of this Mercury retrograde phase. Now, when it comes to hearing this Mercury retrograde information, if you've watched the predictions video based on your sun sign, just recognize that Mercury is going to be in the same exact house as the sun's going to be. So blending these two ideas and recognizing that the sun is going to have certain influences in this house, and recognizing that Mercury retrograde is going to have certain influences in this house. So it's blending that information to really figure out exactly what your game plan is going to be. I really hope you all enjoyed the information. If you did, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Don't forget to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and hang out with me. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.